Hello students, we are going to start with today's class that is about countable and uncountable nouns. First, I want to teach you the vocabulary about food and I'd like you to listen to the pronunciation first, okay? So, we're going to start with apples, bananas, bread, cake, carrots, cheese, chicken, eggs, fish, grapes, ketchup, lemons, lettuce, mayonnaise, meat, mustard, onions, pears, pepper, potatoes, and salt. Now, I want to encourage you to repeat the pronunciation of these items. How will you do it? Please go to Buckaroo. You'll find the link of Buckaroo below the video, okay? Okay, below the video, so you'll come here and you go to buckaroo.com, click on this microphone icon, you start repeating bread, bananas, etc. When you finish recording, click on save and share, click here, and please paste this link with the pronunciation of the vocabulary list in the comments below. I want to hear you. Then, let's go back to the class. What do I want you to do? We're going to learn about countable and uncountable nouns with foods, right? So first, what is a countable noun? A countable noun are nouns that can be singular or plural, that you can use a number, 1, 2, 3, etc., to count them. Or if it is a singular item, you're going to use an or a. If it is plural, you can use some or a number, for example, 3, right? So in the case of apples, you can count apples. You can say an apple, 2 apples. In the case of plurals, 2 apples, 3 apples, or some apples, okay? For not specifying the number. Regarding countable nouns, they are always singular, okay? So here we have coffee, milk, money, pasta, right? Those are uncountable nouns. There are some nouns which can be countable or uncountable, and these are the exceptions. In the case of coffee, right? This is an uncountable noun, so we are going to say, I don't like coffee. And I don't have to say a coffee or 2 coffees. Not in this case. For general things, coffee will be uncountable. But if I go to a restaurant, for example, and I want to order, and I want coffee, I can say, I go with my boyfriend and I say, okay, we'll have 2 coffees, you say to the waiter, right? So in that case, coffee is countable, and as it is countable, we can assign the word to, and we add the letter S at the end, right? What happens if I don't want to add a number in the case of this, that it is uncountable, that is, I want to say the number of containers in which I like the coffee to be served, I will use words like cup, taza, pound, libra, or bottle, botella. Okay, so in this case, as I told you, some nouns can be countable or uncountable depending on the context or situation, right? I can also say, this picture shows 5 coffee types. Which are they? In this case, we have Americano, Cappuccino, Mocha, Latte, and Espresso. Okay, so in that case, I can also make coffee a countable noun. Let's continue. Now, when do I use our, and, some, or any? It is very easy. I will use a or an. I will use a or an for countable nouns in singular, right? So here, for example, I have, there is a plum, or there is an apple. When do I use a? When the word that follows the it starts with a consonant sound, B, C, D, F, etc. And I'm going to start with an when the next word starts with a vowel sound, like apple. Okay. Next, when do we use some? I use some with countables and uncountables in affirmative sentences. Okay, here, this is an uncountable noun, sugar. So I can say, there is some sugar. Okay, in the case of countable nouns, I will say, there are some apples. Right? So for countables and uncountables in affirmative sentences. Then I have any. I use any with countables and uncountables in negative and interrogative sentences. So here we have how. Here we have the examples. With uncountable nouns, there isn't any sugar. So this isn't is abbreviation of not. So there isn't any sugar. Then there aren't any apples. In this case, for an uncountable noun, apples. For interrogative sentences or questions, I am going to ask, is there any sugar? For countable nouns in questions, are there any apples? Right? Now, let's try to write some sentences. Right. I'm going to show you how to write affirmative and negative sentences using a, an, some, or any based on what we can see in this picture, right? First, let's find the items that we are requested here. The example is at here. We have water. So we'll look through the fridge and we'll see that there isn't any water. You can see water there, right? So you're going to say there isn't any water, right? In the case of eggs, let's look for eggs here. Oh yes, here they are. So here you have them. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I am going to write here, there are 6 eggs, or I can say there are some eggs. I use some when I don't specify the number. Okay? So let's continue. Next one, we have sugar. Do we have sugar here? Help me looking for it. I think not. I don't see any sugar. So, as there is no sugar, right? So how do I write negative sentences? Remember, for negative sentences, I am going to use any for negative and interrogative. So I come here and I will say, so I already wrote, there isn't any sugar, right? Below we had written, and let's continue. Now, bananas. Let's see if there are any bananas. Oh yes, here they are. So we're going to write, there are, R is for plural, countable plural nouns. So there are 5 bananas, right? 5 bananas. Or there are some bananas. Let's continue. Then we have milk. Let's see if we can see some. Oh, yes. Here we are. Here we have it. So we're going to say, as this is an affirmative sentence with an uncountable noun, I am going to say there is some milk, right? Next, let's look for fish. Fish, where is the fish? No fish here. So I'm going to say there isn't any fish, right? Which is good. Let's continue. Carrots. Let's see, we have, oh yes, here we have it. So we're going to say there are 3 carrots, or we can say there are some carrots, right? So here we have. Close this. Let's close this. And now, what do I want you to do? Please, I want you to make a list of the foods that are in your kitchen. Okay, so go to your kitchen, to your fridge, a su refrigeradora, go to your fridge or to your kitchen in general, and make a list of the foods that you find there. Which foods are there in your kitchen, right? And write sentences with there is, that you already know how to use, that there is for singular, there are for plural, right? And after that, so let's suppose that I go to my fridge. I will put example here. I'll go to my fridge, and in my fridge I'll find, I will say there is some water. There are some, let me see. There are some onions, and finally, there aren't any peppers, and there isn't, because remember that there isn't any, because remember that any is used for singular and plural in negative and interrogative sentences. So I can say for countable, uncountable nouns. So there isn't any salt. So let's see, if I have this example here, what do I want you to do now? After you write your script on a piece of paper, please go to Buckaroo here and also record your answers. So I'll go back to Buckaroo and I will say there isn't any salt. So I will record myself. I will refresh. There isn't any salt. There are some onions. There aren't any potatoes. And there is a banana, right? So I want you, this is my example, let's start recording. And then you copy this in the comments below, okay? So go to the fridge right now and look for those items that you have there, okay? Good luck. I want to see your comments and listen to your audio recordings. Bye-bye.